Have you ever, like, stopped to think about all the crazy inventions that had to happen before you could just, whip out your phone and binge watch your favorite show? Or even just sit down in front of that giant flat screen?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, video content, it's everywhere, totally part of our daily lives. But we rarely think about the incredible journey it took.
It's a really fascinating story. And today, we're basically going to take you on a kind of shortcut through those key moments, the inventors, some surprising facts behind, well, television.
Right.
And our sources, they cover the whole sweep from the very first ideas about electrical communication way back in the 1800s, right up to the phone in your pocket now.
Okay, so our mission today is to unpack how this device that once cost more than a car,
Yeah, incredible.
how it became something almost everyone has, and how it completely changed, well, everything. How we get stories, news, how we connect.
Exactly, those conceptual leaps.
Okay, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
So before we could even dream of sending pictures, we first had to figure out how to send messages,
Right.
over long distances.
Right.
So what does a telegraph, something that seems ancient now, have to do with your smart TV?
Well, more than you might think. You're spot on. The journey wasn't just let's invent a screen. It was about totally rethinking communication itself.
Okay.
And those early breakthroughs were essential, laid the groundwork. It really starts in the 1830s with Samuel Morse.
Morse code.
Exactly. His big idea was proving information didn't need a physical messenger.
Yeah.
He had a breakthrough in 1838, sent a message 2 miles.
Wow. 2 miles.
Yeah, and then the big public demo in 1844 transmitting what half God wrought from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore.
That famous line.
That was it, the start of instant, long-distance electrical communication. It fundamentally changed how people thought about distance and speed of information.
It's like the world's first text message, basically, but on a huge scale.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so messages are unlocked. What was next?
Well, the natural next step after sending coded messages was voice.
The telephone.
The telephone. Alexander Graham Bell, 1876. And just days after inventing it, he says those famous first words, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you."
Right.
So now, not just abstract code, but the actual human voice traveling electrically. That adds, intimacy, immediacy.
And then the big one for broadcasting, going wireless.
That was the real key for what eventually became television, sending signals without wires. Heinrich Hertz, in the 1880s, he discovers electromagnetic waves.
The invisible highways?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The pathway signals could travel through. Then Guglielmo Marconi, he builds on Hertz's work, creates the first complete commercially viable radio system.
So it made it practical.
Made it practical. Took those waves and used them to send sound information without a physical connection. And, fun fact, the actual word television.
Oh, yeah.
It was coined much earlier than you might think. A Russian scientist, Konstantin Persky, at the Paris World's Fair in 1900.
Wow. So the idea, the word, existed long before the reality.
Decades before most people saw anything like it. A vision articulated way ahead of its time.
It's just fascinating how these things, telegraph, telephone, radio waves, they weren't isolated. They all sort of built this environment, this understanding that, yeah, information, even sound, could travel unseen. Crucial for sending pictures later.
Absolutely foundational.
Okay, so we can send signals, even wirelessly.
Yeah.
But the next massive hurdle, how do you see those signals? How do you turn electricity into a picture? This is where it gets really cool, I think.
Oh, yeah. This part is like scientific detective work, looking into the subatomic world. It starts in the 1870s with vacuum tubes.
Right, those glass tubes.
Yeah. Guys like Heinrich Geissler, William Crookes, they kept refining them, making better vacuums inside. And they noticed when you applied high voltage, these invisible rays. They traveled inside the tubes.
Cathode ray.
Cathode rays, exactly. And they made certain materials glow when they hit them, like the glass itself.
So they could sort of see evidence of this invisible energy moving.
Precisely. They could observe its effects. And this led directly to J.J. Thomson discovering the electron in 1897.
A huge moment in physics.
Massive. Using these tubes, he proved cathode rays weren't just energy, they were streams of tiny, negatively charged particles, electrons. But the key thing for television was he showed these electrons could be controlled. Deflected.
Yeah.
Using electric and magnetic fields, you could steer the beam. And that understanding, that's how you could potentially draw with this electron beam.
Draw with light,
Yeah.
essentially. Okay. And the cathode ray tube, the CRT, that came right about then, too.
The very same year, 1897, it was an incredible year. Carl Ferdinand Braun, He took Thomson's work and made the practical leap.
What did you do?
He added a fluorescent screen to the end of the tube, so when the controlled electron beam hit the screen, it created a bright, visible spot. That was the CRT.
The basis for TV screens for decades.
Absolutely. And then another Russian scientist, Boris Rosing, he took bronze CRT and actually used it as a receiver for really primitive TV signals. Proved it could work for displaying images.
So it wasn't just about making a screen, it was understanding the fundamental particles, the electrons, and figuring out how to control them to paint a picture, like discovering pixels before monitors existed.
That's a great way to put it. The absolute core tech for almost a century of TVs.
Okay, science is in place. We can send signals, we can display them. Now the race is on to build a working television. And it wasn't just one clear path, right? There were competing ideas.
That's right. Two very different approaches initially. One early important step was mechanical. Paul Nipkow, a German engineer back in the 1880s.
Nipkow disc, I've heard of that.
Yeah, his electric telescope. It was this rotating disc with holes in a spiral pattern. As it spun, it scanned an image, line by line. Crude, mechanical, but a really crucial concept scanning.
And then the guy often called the father of television.
John Logie Baird, the Scottish inventor, he built directly on Nipkow's mechanical idea.
Okay.
He created the first semi-mechanical TV that could actually transmit moving silhouette images, just shadows at first.
Still moving images.
Exactly, and he kept improving it. In 1927, he famously transmitted images over a phone line from London to Glasgow.
Over a phone line.
Wow. Imagine seeing a live, moving shape from hundreds of miles away back then. Even a blurry silhouette, it must have been mind-blowing.
But the real leap was getting rid of the spinning discs, the mechanical parts, right? Going fully electronic.
Absolutely. That seemed like the stuff of science fiction. And that's where Philo T. Farnsworth comes in, an American inventor, unbelievably brilliant.
He was super young, was he?
Just 21. He created the first all-electric television system.
Nice.
No moving parts.
That's the game changer.
Total game changer. Much clearer picture potential, far more practical for development. And of course, RCA, the electronics giant.
They noticed.
They acquired his patents eventually, and they put another key figure, Vladimir Zworykin, a Russian-American engineer, on the job of turning it into something they could mass produce.
Right, taking the invention and making it commercial. So when did the first actual TVs hit the market?
RCA debuted their first commercial set, the TRK-12, at the 1939 New York World's Fair. Big splash.
And the price, I heard, was astronomical.
Astronomical is right. It cost $600.
$600 in 1939. What's that today?
It translates to over 13,000 US dollars in 2025 money.
Whoa. Okay, so definitely not for everyone. More than a car back then.
Exactly. A serious luxury item. Very few people could afford one. Television really didn't take off until after World War II.
Why then?
Well, RCA started mass-producing sets more affordably, marketed them heavily, and crucially, they used their own radio network, NBC, to create actual TV shows.
Ah, the content.
The content was key. News, entertainment, dramas. That's what convinced people, okay, I need one of these boxes. It turned TV from a novelty into, well, a fixture of modern life.
Over $13,000. It really makes you appreciate how much of a gamble and maybe a status symbol early TV was. It needed that content and the ads paying for it to really explode. So for decades, like my whole childhood, television meant that big, heavy, curved CRT box, right? Taking up half the living room.
Oh, yeah. The CRT was king from the 30s all the way up to around 2010, an incredibly long reign for a technology.
Amazing longevity.
But the seeds for replacing it were planted way earlier. The first plasma TV, believe it or not, was invented back in the 1960s.
The 60s? Really?
Yep. Took a long time to become commercially viable, but eventually they got popular because they offered something new. Big, flat screens. High contrast, good viewing angles, no more curved glass.
And then LCDs just seemed to take over everything.
They really did. Around 2010, liquid crystal display, LCD, pretty much wiped out CRTs. The advantages were just too strong.
Like what?
They were smaller, much thinner, way lighter, and critically cheaper to make than plasma. Plus, the picture quality, the resolution, was a big jump from CRTs. That really brought flat screens to the masses.
It's just a constant battle for that spot in your living room now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It feels like it's speeding up. OLED, QLE.
Oh, absolutely. Micro LED now. The pace of change since LCDs took over has been relentless. Each new tech, OLED, QLED, now micro LED pushes for better blacks, brighter colors, wider angles, you name it.
trying to get that perfect picture.
Exactly. They're all competing fiercely. LCD is still the budget king, usually, but the trend is always the same. Newer tech gets better, prices drop, and it starts replacing the old standard. It's this drive toward, like, total immersion, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Blurring the lines between the screen and reality.
So the screens got thinner, better, lighter. But for a long time, how we actually got the shows was pretty much the same, right? Scheduled programming, maybe a few channels.
For a while, yes. Traditional over-the-air broadcast was the original way.
But that started changing too. Cable TV?
Cable TV was one of the first big shifts, yeah. Started popping up in the 50s and 60s, using coaxial cables, not just antenna.
Needing more channels.
More channels, often better reception, especially if you weren't near a big city. More choice.
And then, oh man, the VCR. Renting movies from Blockbuster,
Right.
recording shows, that felt huge.
The VCR in the 70s was massive. Suddenly you were in control. Record stuff, watch it later, time shifting, renting tapes, building a movie library. It completely changed viewing habits.
Yeah, no more being tied to the schedule.
And then the 80s brought all their specialized cable channels. CNN for news, MTV for music videos, ESPN for sports.
Finding your niche.
Exactly.
So,
TV got more personal. Then came satellite dishes.
right, beaming down hundreds of channels.
Another big disruptor, often cheaper than cable, reached rural areas easily. More choice again. And around the late 2000s, early 2010s, the big switch from analog to digital broadcast.
Better picture and sound.
Much better. But even as that was happening, the internet was sneaking up.
Streaming.
Streaming, using the internet to deliver video. It started early, like Real Player back in 95, Broadcast.com doing live events even earlier, 89.
But Netflix was the one that really changed the game, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Started as DVD by mail in 97, which was already clever, but when they launched their streaming service in 2007, that was it. The shift to on-demand was suddenly unstoppable.
And now, it's just an explosion. A total free-for-all.
It really is. You still have DVDs, Blu-rays, cable's still around, but yeah, a ton of streaming services. YouTube, Disney+, Netflix, Prime Video, Hulu, Max, all battling it out.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing now is television isn't just that box anymore, is it?
No way.
People stream on computers, tablets, phones. You don't even need a TV set. You don't need to watch broadcast TV. You don't even necessarily need to pay for a subscription service.
Because of things like YouTube.
Yeah, ad-supported streaming is huge, which, funny enough, brings us right back around to how TV started after WWI programming paid for by ads. Full circle.
That does raise a huge question. If you can watch anything, anywhere, anytime, on basically any screen,
Yeah.
what even is television anymore?
Yeah.
Has the word lost its meaning? Is it just video?
It's quite a thought. We've gone from Morse tapping out, "What hath God wrought?"
Yeah.
to watching 4K movies on your phone on the bus. It's just an incredible arc of human ingenuity, isn't it? This constant drive to connect, to share stories visually.
And that point about the ad-supported model coming back around is fascinating. It drove the whole thing in the beginning, making TVs desirable, and now it's a massive part of the streaming landscape again.
History repeating itself, in a way. So the next time you are watching something, whatever screen it's on, maybe just take a second to think about that chain of invention.
All those scientists, engineers, tinkerers.
Hundreds of years of breakthroughs, one building on the next, to make that casual viewing experience possible.
So what does this all mean for you listening? If TV isn't just a box anymore and content is literally everywhere, what's the next big disruption going to be? Interactive stories. Virtual reality viewing. Something to maybe think about next time you tune in.